if you got an email from somebody on a dating site and it went something like this. So, okay, Friday. If you're coming from the north on Grote, get on Calgary Trail, and when you get to the south side and jump on White Mud, then go to south on 50th Street, take a right on 40th Avenue, and after a block or two, take the very first right into the alley. It's marked by a yellow crosswalk sign, so pay attention. Then go left and pull into the only driveway on your left that isn't paved. LOL. Seriously, who ever heard of a driveway that looks like the Amazon? Whatever. It won't swallow your car, I promise. There's some garbage up against the fence, like an old couch and such, but it might be gone by Friday, who knows. Like I said, the garage door will be open for you a touch. Don't worry about the neighbors thinking you're a burglar. Everyone knows there's nothing valuable in there. Except my car, of course. Oi. See you then, Sheena. Yeah, first visible back door coming out of the garage. Knock away. There's certainly no other driveways along our alley like this one, and the half-open car door is the dead giveaway. LOL. See you 7 on Friday. So what would you do? Well, you might say to yourself, that sounds a little sketchy, and quickly delete the email, block the user, and move on with your life. Now, on the other hand, if you're a horny male, you'll probably brush off the sketchiness of it all and start following these ridiculous instructions on Friday at 7. Sheena sounds like quite the catch, and there's pretty much nothing you won't do to have the slightest chance of getting laid this weekend. I mean, she's got an old couch in her driveway, for fuck's sakes. How can she not be smoking? So join us for this terrible episode of Evil Done Badly. If you had wanted to hear a good episode, might I recommend you try the Evil Done Goodly podcast. I hear it's quite good. On this episode, we will explore what can go wrong when you start following instructions from random, sexy-sounding strangers on the internet. Cue the intro music. I promise we will get some intro music in the near future. In the meantime, enjoy these catchy random noises. Squink, squink, bonk, bonk, pachugo, pink, pink, chunk, chunk, ching, boop. And now a word from our sponsor. Go to Dickie's Self-Service Massage Parlor. Hairy palms included in the price of purchase. We're open whenever you are. Now back to the show. Mark Twitchell of Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, is an amateur filmmaker and a devoted fan of the Dexter series of television shows. If you aren't aware, the show follows Dexter Morgan, who is a blood spatter analyst. You know what I mean. He's a blood spatter guy for the fictional Miami police force. He also has an unquenchable thirst for murdering. He lives by an oddball set of ethics whereby he only allows himself to kill people who undoubtedly deserve it. He has a plastic-coated room, and he kills people in it. The plastic helps him be meticulous in his cleanup, and he always gets away. As far as I can tell, I haven't seen all 7 seasons, or 10 seasons, or however many. Either way, Mark develops an unhealthy fascination with the character and wants to be just like him. So what does Mark do? He rents a garage and uses it to shoot a short film about... Okay, go ahead. Guess. Guess what this fucking thing's about. It's about luring men to his garage and killing them. Guess what Mark would ultimately be found guilty of? Anybody? Anybody? Ding, ding, ding! Luring men to his garage and killing them. There's nothing incriminating about that at all. This dumbass would get 2 cracks at living his dream before his violent fantasy would come crashing down around him. On October 3rd, 2008, Jill Tetro was lured to Twitchell's garage while using the website Plenty of Fish. He was hoping for a date with a young woman named Sheena, who wouldn't give him her address. Just a fucked up set of cryptic instructions involving dirt roads and discarded couches. He managed to decipher the instructions and found his way to Sheena's garage. How romantic. Never underestimate the resourcefulness of a hard-up dude looking for love. I'm not saying this in any kind of mean way about Jill's motives. Men are just dumb. Horny ones, even more so. Which is all of them. We're all dumb. We can't help it. Let's move on. So Jill finds his way to Sheena's love garage and worms his way through the partially open door only to be attacked by Twitchell in a hockey mask with a stun baton. So we've established that Twitchell is ripping off at least 2 fictional killers here. Dexter and Jason Voorhees from Friday the 13th. So that makes me think maybe he's not the most creative dude in the world. Maybe filmmaking is not something he should be pursuing. He's also not that good at murdering, it turns out. Twitchell would pull a gun and put tape over Jill's eyes. Jill's would say something to the effect of, "Fuck that shit, man," and ripped off the tape and took the gun from him. So Twitchell let him take the gun, and to make himself seem even more inept, it only took a couple of seconds for Jill to realize the gun was a piece of horseshit. He then attempted to beat the crap out of Twitchell, but the stun baton had made his body go all gimpy, and he would be ineffective with his blows. Twitchell would grab onto Jill's coat, but he wriggled out of it and squirted out through the partially open door. Twitchell would attempt to pull him back by the feet, but Jill would not be denied and ran out into an alley. Twitchell was still wearing the mask and gave chase and scared the shit out of a couple who were out walking their dog. Jill would eventually make it back to his truck and complete the escape. Twitchell would go home and regroup for his next attempt. He should have quit here, but the fucking dunderhead soldiered on to make his morbid dreams a reality. What a stupid, persistent cunt. Jill would not report the incident as he was embarrassed by his poor judgment and didn't want to explain that he was catfished to the police. He justified it in his brain by explaining that it was just a mugging and not something more sinister. It's amazing what you can convince yourself of when the alternative is admitting to something naively moronic. After the whole story played out, Jill Tetreault would be dubbed the one who got away by the media. He would go on to write a book about the incident called The One Who Got Away, Escape from the Kill Room. Of course, at the time, he had no idea he escaped from a kill room. That wouldn't become apparent until after Twitchell's plan would be carried out on his second baiting attempt. A week after Tetreault's escape, John Brian Altinger, a 38-year-old former White Rock, BC, oil field equipment manufacturer, unknowingly interacted with Twitchell on Plenty of Fish. On October 10, 2008, Altinger informed his friends of his plans to meet a woman with whom he had been chatting. He must have had his reservations about the meeting because he forwarded the wonky directions Sheena had given him to his friends and brother. Poor John's reservations would prove fatal, as he was bludgeoned and stabbed by a hockey mask-wearing psychopath in Twitchell's garage. Twitchell would then cut him apart, partially burn him in a barrel, and then dump his remains in garbage bags into a storm sewer. Twitchell would attempt to cover his murderous tracks by emailing Altinger's friends and claim that his date had taken him on an extended vacation to Costa Rica. Nice place and everything, but the possibility of John running off to Central America on a first date didn't fly at all with his friends. They weren't buying it, and they were immediately worried about what happened to John's date with Sheena. At work, a resignation letter arrived by email. but there was no response to a request for a forwarding address for sending the final paycheck. Things were starting to look pretty ominous. Altinger's friends would break into his condominium, where they found his passport, dirty dishes, and no indication of his having packed for a trip. The police would soon launch an investigation into John's disappearance. John's friends would inform the police that the last time he was heard from, he was going to meet a girl in a garage in some weird secluded neighborhood. The police would follow the instructions, and it led them to interviewing Mark Twitchell at the garage. Twitchell would admit to meeting with Altinger, but he would give a bonkers account of having met him before his trip to Costa Rica. According to Twitchell, Altinger sold his Mazda 6 to Twitchell for $40 Canadian, which was all the cash Twitchell had on hand, and I guess he's supposed to convince everybody that Altinger thought his Mazda 6 was only worth $40, and he really wanted to go to Costa Rica with this girl. Even horny men are not that dumb. Naturally, the police called bullshit and impounded Twitchell's laptop and car. Altinger's blood would ultimately be found in the car's trunk. Upon searching Twitchell's laptop, they would find a shitload of incriminating documents. He pretty much described both the murder attempts and how he carried them out. From the fake dating profile, the kill room, to the dismemberment, to the burning the bodies in a barrel, he literally spelled out his progression to becoming a serial killer. One of the files on the computer was actually called SK Progression, for Serial Killer Progression. He would use his filmmaking as an excuse for having this on his computer, but that was quickly ruled out. When it started to look really bad for him, he resorted to claiming that he murdered Altinger in self-defense. I do believe that everyone involved engaged in a collective eye roll and told him to go fuck himself. Police arrested Twitchell on October 31st, 2008, and on the same day charged him with the first-degree murder of Altinger. He's currently being buried alive and eaten to death by fire ants. Or at least he should be. He's actually serving a life sentence at Saskatchewan Federal Penitentiary. His case has received an abundance of media attention due to the connection to the Dexter TV show. He's regularly known as the Dexter Killer. Now, I find that kind of silly because Dexter would only kill people he deemed worthy to be killed. And from what I can tell, all those fuckers had it coming. He's more of a Dexter-like killer. This Twitchell asshole just put up a few plastic bags in a garage and preyed on innocent guys looking to hook up. What a cunt. If you can't get enough of this cunt, you can be his pen pal, since he's on the Canadian Inmate Connect dating site for the incarcerated. He's looking for an intelligent, interesting, delightfully imperfect woman to relate to. If you're open-minded and looking for love, he's probably still single. And you can tell him your name is Sheena. He loves that. And you'll be glad to know that Twitchell is all caught up on the Dexter episodes he's missed while he's been in jail. I know that was bothering me. And if you were dying to check out Mark's full-length Star Wars prequel, Secrets of the Rebellion. Okay, just a little aside here. Oh, wow. He's making Star Wars fan films. Christ. I swear this guy has never had an original thought in his life. So, if the anticipation is killing you, Secrets of the Rebellion, directed by Mark Twitchell. Could be a while getting done because, well, he's not eligible for parole until 2036. This has been an Evil Done Badly discussion of the Dexter type killer, Mark Twitchell. It involves one man's half-assed attempt at being a serial killer and one unfortunate victim. John Altinger, you deserve better than that. John's tale proves that not everyone on the internet has good intentions and you should always take precautions. Watch out, gang. You can't be too careful. Now, if you would like to reach out and suggest some episode topics for future episodes, I can be reached at evildonebadly@gmail.com or on Instagram at evildonebadly. So, thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time. And I'd like to give one final shout out to all the patrons over on Patreon who help make this show possible. Thank you.